Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Steve. I'm the host for this session. I'm from CSA Singapore Chapter, Marketing Director. And with me today, I have Sabojit. He is the Training Director. We have Jim, Vice President, and as well as Chris Tan, our Membership Director. So today, the topic for our discussion here is about cyber career. So cyber in the last decade has been very interesting and challenging with the boom of the internet and all the IoT stuff. So with that, that also brings a lot more opportunities for professionals and even students planning to progress into that career objective. So as we have seen also in the recent few years, ransomware and a lot of cloud opportunities has improved a lot. And there's also a lot of need and requirement for advanced security professionals. So I'd like to take this opportunity to ask Sabojit, who is the training director, what does he see, in terms of the career? Is training also a good career for, students planning in the next decade?
Hi. Well, thanks, Steve, for the question. Well, for students who are coming up, they can join the training, but that may not be as a professional trainer, because to be a professional trainer, you need at least 5 years minimum of experience in the industry. So I would say that, yes, they can consider that a mid-career switch somewhere before they can come into training, because what the professionals wants to hear, just not the technology part, but they want to hear the market experience. So that comes from over the years of job. Now, cybersecurity is a very good prospecting career. Now, the total cybersecurity job scope has risen over 6 to 7 times over the last 3 years. That's what the sources that say, if you go to Skills Future, you will find these things. And then you also do not need to have a cybersecurity specific degree in this. You can come up, and as you know, today we have the lifelong learning, and you can get into specific areas. So keep your doors and the scope open. And then, of course, there are a lot of there is no industry which is not in requirement of cybersecurity skills. In fact, today it is said that all organizations are IT organizations. So, of course, there is opportunity. And then, well, of course, cybersecurity as a career, it has its own, good and bad things. You can be having some exciting thing if you are into forensic. But if you're into operations, sometimes things can be, very long and after hours of job and this thing. And some people are saying that, hey, the jobs of tomorrow will maybe with the robot and other thing, AI. Well, that may happen, of course, but that will take a long time before we can be threatened by at least cybersecurity jobs going to robots. At this point in time, maybe some mundane jobs, some commodity jobs could be, but not. I would suggest that people to go and look into CSA, Cybersecurity Agency websites, and also careers are like My Skills Future to learn more and have a objective. So start with the end in mind, what you want to achieve, and then you can achieve. That's what I want to suggest.
Great. Thanks, advice, man. Great advice. So let me pass on to Jim. What do you see, for students in the next decade, right? What do you see the future of cybersecurity? What would be the key skills or traits that's necessary for them to be successful?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, I think cybersecurity is a ever-changing and evolving skill set as well. So I think for those of us who have been working for a long time, right, although term of cybersecurity wasn't really there like 30 years ago, right, but it's always there, right? Because when you transfer your data across different devices, last time it was probably through floppy disks and then hard disks, and then I don't know whether students today still know how does a floppy disk looks like, yeah?
What's that?
Right, portable hard disk, maybe a little bit here and there, right? But today everything is through cloud, right? So cybersecurity skills is also ever evolving skill from the time that we actually transfer data through different devices at different means, right? So I can say that the students today, they need to always have the basic skill sets, which actually is to identify what are the threats, right? What are the potential places or integration points that will introduce threats. Usually is when you move from certain place to certain place, then you have threats, right? So that skill sets of being able to identify in the entire ecosystem is always there, no matter is it from the old way of cybersecurity to maybe the new way today as cloud security, and 10 years later, we all don't know, is it 5G kind of security or 6G kind of security? So the basic skill set needs to be there, but evolving skills will be with the new technology, like today is 5G, 10 years later, maybe 6G, then people need to upgrade their knowledge of those domains as well, in addition to the cybersecurity or to the security kind of experience and skill sets. So that's what I think that it will not be a sunsetting industry, if you ask me. It will always be a sunrising industry. There will be more and more threats coming up from, like what you mentioned, there were spam mails in the past. Then you have ransomware. These are already to some extent passé. It's still there, right? Then you have phishing email. Then I myself involved quite a lot in healthcare today, right? So healthcare data is very important, and you have actually a lot of different types of threats beyond this kind of ransomware and phishing email that can actually penetrate into your different systems to get data out. And we always say that data is the new water or new oil, right?
Yeah, the new
So
gold.
everybody is trying to get the data out, right? And people who wants to be in the cybersecurity, apart from the security related skills, I think you need to be aware of how data behave and how data is being transferred as well.
Yeah, well said. I guess in cybersecurity, it's always that if you think in the mind of a hacker, right, that's how you should start. And that's where you should start planning on how to monitor and detect any threats into your environment. So I guess it's also, as today we progress, there's a lot more innovation in the application space as well. So application security is also a new area of growth, and also IoT. So I'm not sure, Chris, can add some insight in terms of, as now we see a lot more like drones, IoT devices, baby cams. Those are the things that, would also require security knowledge, right, to the general population. So I think, what's your insight in terms of that?
Hey, thanks, Steve. Definitely, IoT and all those devices, we need to emphasize security on all this, right? And I think even for the government itself, they are looking into this area to say that, to look at how to actually secure all these devices when we are using it in organization level or at I would say a personal level, right, which is home-based. So, but this area is still, I would say, still something that is very new and not really well established. And a lot of times it also depends on the manufacturer, right? Whether do they keep up to date, right? They release patches for some of the vulnerabilities that are actually detected. So I think at a personal level, I would say that, it's actually the onus is on us to do the patching, to check, like whether, is the device that the devices that we are using, is it vulnerable, right, to a certain exploits orders, or are there patches available? If there are, then we should, take the action to go and close up the vulnerabilities. At the organizational level, I think it's basically a risk-based approach, right? To first identify the risk and then look at what are the vulnerabilities again, right? And then with that, what are our exposure, and then assess the impact. So with that, it's basically going through a proper, I would say, a risk management process, right, to ascertain the risk. And then after that, we will do the mitigation and acceptance as well.
Yeah, well said. I think from this discussion, you can see that, cyber career is not just the technology part thing. It's also about processes, people, right? And how psychology come into play as well, how the hacker thinks and how the defender or the red team or the purple team or blue team would need to think, right, and plan for, their defense strategy. So definitely, from a career perspective, there's to the viewers here, there's many paths to it, right? And I think, we also seen report that today cyber security organizations, they do not just hire people from the engineering or computer degree background. They also hire people from the arts, from the general science, social science, so that you have a broader spectrum of what the attacker could be. So maybe, Jim, what do you see in terms of in your hiring experience, right? How would you craft the kind of people that you would like, from what kind of background? So at least you can give the viewers some thoughts in terms of, which path they can pursue, in the end still leads to an option into the cyber careers.
Yeah, so like what you mentioned, right? It's not just about engineering or computer science students. Of course, this group of people will be a natural choice, right, to get into cybersecurity career. But we also hire people with, for example, accountancy background, for example, people with legal background, because in cybersecurity world, right, apart from the actual people who is going to detect threat and respond to threats, you need people who are meticulous, right? And this is usually found in accountancy students to some extent. And you need people who knows how to deal with hackers and deal with corporate policies, deal with procedures or processes like what Chris mentioned. And people with legal background will also be very helpful in this case. So cybersecurity is really not just a IT or engineering kind of thing, right? It really covers, like you mentioned again just now, is process people, and people with the relevant background in legal accountancy will be very helpful. And at the same time, there's a lot of, again, it's not a degree studies, right? Cybersecurity. There's a lot of professional certification, whether is it from Cisco or from others, right? And of course, with CSA, you can also get certification. So these are the few further studies or adult learning that people can actually do, right? Once they want to get into a cybersecurity career, and there will be constant upgrading needed as well with the new threats coming out, new policies. From maybe many years ago, we don't have PDPA, then we have PDPA. Then in Europe, we have the, I think it's GPDR or something like that. I can't really, yeah.
GDPR.
Yeah. So again, there are different standards coming out along the way, and people need to keep abreast of the development as well, right? So it's really a lifelong learning career, right? And it's very interesting as well, because I work with many of them, and you can see that sometimes, like you mentioned, people think with a hacker's mindset, right? And you become an anti-hacks, right? And then same thing with drones. There's also called anti-drones, right? So same thing will come out, and it's a very interesting career, I'll say. And it's worth the investment. Yeah.
Now let me switch to Sabojit. As the training director, I mean, you will see, your students coming from various backgrounds. Some of them may be on the mid-career change path. Why do you see, they come from what kind of backgrounds, and why do they, pursue a change into, cyber?
Well, interesting question. Though we get more people coming from technology background, but I have people coming from different other backgrounds. Sometimes they are not even from technology at all. Okay. So people just are interested. Some of them, may have experienced something in their career and in their life, and then they want to come and do some change, some transformation. So these are the things that I'm trying to see, that people are more and more getting aware about, that they have to contribute something to the community and to the profession. So as a professional, we all need to abide by some ethics and something, and that requires us to contribute to the profession, to the society, so to the bigger community at large. So it has been a really mixed thing that I've seen, that people who are maybe coming from construction industry, people coming from, even I had people, who are almost on the verge of, retiring, and has been from consultancy, has been from legal, has been from just sales, and they do good. Not that they don't do good. They do good. They also excel in the certifications that I teach, and in the CCSK that I am doing. And also they come from industries, like they may come from banking, they may come from something which is manufacturing. So there are a lot of industry variation as well.
Good. Thanks for your insight, man. So,
yeah, thank you.
Chris, I mean, based on that, I mean, your past hiring experience, right? I mean, how much have you seen in terms of your growth? Because from the My Skills Future website, they have mentioned that in the last 3 years, the number of cybersecurity posting has increased by about 7-fold, right? So I'm not sure, from your experience, what do you see? I mean, in your own personal capacity, how has hiring changed in the last few years?
I think for the last few years, the hiring, I would say, has been tough, right? Because we all know that a lot of different organizations are basically hiring from the same talent pool, and that talent pool itself, the experienced ones are actually not that many. The increase isn't by a lot. So essentially, it's like, okay, it's just a limited number of people, and over here, what we are looking at is really in terms of the position, what we can offer to the candidate. And to me, my personal take is that usually when I do hiring, I want to match the personal objectives to the position opportunities. As much as possible, we will want to have that alignment. So that position, that open position itself is able to meet the candidate's objectives. So I think that is important because most of the people are really looking at getting more experience and broaden their skill set. So we don't want to hire somebody and let the person just come in and run repetitive stuff. So we want to challenge the person, right? To say that, okay, this is what we can offer, and what are the next couple of steps that he or she can take to really up to another level. So it's basically a leveling up, an opportunity that we can offer to them.
Very good, thanks. I guess, I mean, we all agree that it's going to be a very exciting future for cyber, right, in the next decade, especially with all the new technology that's coming. And also today, we are blurring the line between work and home. So you have a lot more home devices connected to the network and increased threat levels as well. So I'd like to thank the panel here for your time, sharing your experience, and also sharing this topic with our viewers. So let's wish the viewers a good day ahead and hope that they have learned some from us. And if they have any questions, do feel free to contact us at Cloud Security Alliance Singapore chapter. Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.